joining me live now, South Carolina Congressman James Clyburn, who's also a veteran of the civil rights movement. Sir, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First of all, I think a lot of people, I don't know, maybe they don't know history, maybe they didn't grow up in places like Texas, like myself and you with South Carolina here, don't understand the significance of the Voting Rights Act of '65 and what's at issue still here today, especially when you look at the 102-year-old woman from Miami who stood in line for 6 hours to vote, the president referencing her and showing her great applause during the State of the Union. What does this mean to you to have the Supreme Court hearing this now?
Well, I would hope that the Supreme Court will really once again reinforce what the Civil Rights Act is all about. I don't think it's any question, especially after having watched events last year, that there are forces at work who would like to turn the clock back on all those gains that have been made because of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. All we have to do is take their own words. You got the leader of the House of Delegates in Pennsylvania saying very clearly the reason for making the change requiring voter ID was to ensure that Mitt Romney wins the state. Now, if you are doing things to make sure that you affect the outcome of the election, I think that's all the Supreme Court needs to hear. And I think that we can show that in many other places as well. And so these new laws may be good. All we're saying is let the Justice Department take a look at what you've done, determine the impact of what you've done, and then if it's okay, then the Justice Department says it's okay. But then let them point out if it's not okay. So that's all we're doing here. The Voting Rights Act really applies to all 50 states. Section 5 applies to all or parts of 16. And that's simply to review what you've done to make a determination as to whether or not you were fair.
Right. Let me ask you, do you believe that there would be this fire in the bellies of those who really believe the law is still necessary and it's still needed in our society? Had we not seen some of the tactics in the general election where you had Democrats who were accusing Republicans in many states of attempting to suppress the vote, that perhaps if those events had not taken place during the election, that we wouldn't see the fight back or the pushback here?
Well, that may be true, and it's not just Democrats. They're saying so in their own words. Look, I believe that most people in America understand that the most important thing to our society, the most fundamental, happens to be the vote. And the vote should be unfettered. The vote should be transparent. And when we have things that may work against transparency, then I think it's something we ought to take a hard look at. And I would hope that the Supreme Court will reinforce this once again. But having studied history, having taught history, I know that if a thing has happened before, it can happen again. And we've seen the Supreme Court backtrack on these issues before.
Congressman Clyburn, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. Hope to talk with you more on this one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.